G'day everybody, Spud here from Spud's Games. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about showcasing my new games room, so stay tuned. So the video today is going to be all about showcasing what I have on display. I'm not going to go into individual games or consoles. I'll do videos in the coming weeks / months just to go over that, but today's going to be all about just showcasing what I have, how I connect everything up, discussing the CRT in the background, discussing the 4K TV I use, and just how everything connects up. I also have some cool LEDs I'd like to show you how I've displayed, as well as some cool lights in the roof. I've got Dreamcast kiosk here, I've got some retro PCs / Amigas over in the corner. So let's get stuck into it. So for me, it was all about quality over quantity for this games collection. As it stands, I've got about 1,600 video games spread across about a dozen or so consoles. I do have the retro PCs as well, so out on display I have an Amiga and a Commodore 64, as well as an old Windows 98 PC with some cool big box games that I have that I've enjoyed playing as well. So long story short, I had a house up in Newcastle, New South Wales. It had all my games collection up there. It didn't have a lot of room, so a lot of stuff was stored away in cupboards and they weren't out on display. Essentially what I had out on display was only the stuff I was currently playing at the time. I moved into a house, or a unit, in Sydney. Didn't have any room for video games, unless it was like a PS4 and maybe half a dozen video games that I was playing. About 12 months ago, I moved into a house in Sydney, big 4-bedroom home, has a big double garage, and that's where this video game collection is now stored. So having that big double garage has enabled me to have about 1,600, as I said before, 1,600 video games across about a dozen consoles. I still do have a lot of video games stored away up in the house in Newcastle. This isn't everything I have. I actually have some stored up in the attic as well here that I haven't got out on display. But majority I do. I would say about 60% I have out on display. And it's all the stuff that I want to play / or have played or high dollar value. As well as the Dreamcast kiosk, which is a bit of a work in progress. I'll run you through that later on. And that's a pretty cool piece of kit as well, especially the CRT that I've got on top of that. So without further ado, let's go through the 4K TV setup I've got, and then I'll run you guys through the CRT display I've got behind me with the old retro video games. So one of the cool things about having a new games room is obviously having a new TV to go with it. So the TV I'm using here is a 55-inch Sony X9000. It does do 4K 120Hz, so it is PS5 ready. I don't have a PS5 at the moment. I will be getting one. It's on back order, or on pre-order I should say. Now it's July at the moment, so I was told it would be in stock at EB Games around the end of July. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I should have that soon. But in the meantime, I make do. You'll see down the bottom there, I have a PlayStation 4 Pro. I played that a lot. On top of that, I have a PS3. Over here I have a Wii U, I have a PS2, and I also have a GameCube. Now all this bar the PS2 is all hooked up via HDMI. So that includes the GameCube. I find the GameCube HDMI adapter I use is quite good with this TV. It doesn't really need a CRT to make that GameCube look good. I'm quite happy with the way it looks on this TV. So that's why it's over here in the HDMI, let's call it, section. And I also run the GameCube, the Wii U, the PS3 through a HDMI 4K splitter. It's an auto switch splitter, or switch I should say, it's not a splitter. So whatever console's on, it will automatically switch to, and then run it up to the HDMI on whatever input I've got on the TV. If I have more than one console on, then it does get a bit confused. I have to switch between them manually. But if I only have one console on at a time, then it will automatically detect which console I have, and therefore I'm only using up one HDMI input on the TV as well. Obviously I have a soundbar up the top there, and also I've got the subwoofer behind me. The PS2 I've got hooked up via an OSSC, so that outputs HDMI to the TV, but accepts component in from the PlayStation 2. It would also accept an RGB input from the PlayStation 2. So that's it for this particular section, how I've hooked everything up. Now we'll go over to the CRT section and the retro video game section that I've got hooked up over in the corner. So here it is, the retro video games corner. Now, a retro video games corner isn't complete without a high quality CRT. The CRT you can see behind me is a Bang & Olufsen MX8000, has dual RGB SCART inputs. Now, the way I run my old video game consoles, most of them are RGB SCART with the exception of the N64. I actually use a Japanese N64 because it is able to display S-Video as its output, which is really nice. It's not that much different from RGB, I find, in quality. And rather than go ahead and try and modify an N64 to have RGB and all that jazz, then I'd just rather use S-Video. So that is a Japanese N64, but I use an EverDrive with my N64. I just don't have the room to display a full N64 collection, so I did sell off a lot of that and I went back to an EverDrive for the N64. So all the games will be NTSC and they display S-Video onto the CRT behind me. The other thing I've got down here is a Laserdisc player that outputs composite. It also looks really nice on this CRT as well. So I also, as I mentioned, I have a Laserdisc collection which is behind me. I'll run you guys through that quickly later on as well. We also have a Dreamcast. I know that can be hooked up to a PC CRT, but I like having it hooked up to this particular CRT because this CRT is nice and big. I think it's 58 centimeters, so it's a nice size CRT. I have a PlayStation 1, Super Nintendo, which is also RGB out, a Sega Saturn, which is RGB out, and I have an Xbox there, which I also use as RGB out as well. The other really cool thing about this entertainment unit is these two side drawers here that hold quite a bit. As you can see, I've got some boxed Sega Game Gear games, which are complete, and a few odds and ends like the battery pack and the Game Genie down the bottom. And on the other one, we have pretty much a mirror image of the compartments, but in this one I've got some Atari Lynx games and just other few odds and ends such as memory cards and GameCube boxes, etc. So really handy for storage. The other really good thing I've got is this bottom drawer which is underneath the consoles. As you can see, it holds quite a bit, and this is where I store all my controllers. Always make sure you wrap up the cords correctly, otherwise you're going to end up with a tangled mess, but as long as you do that, as you can see, it fits in really nicely. So I find this entertainment unit really handy. Over behind the glass, over that side, I have a Sega Mega Drive with a Mega CD as well, and I can also put a 32X into that as well, which I have somewhere. I'm just not sure where I put that at the moment. So, but I do have all that kit in there and it's stored away in there. I just don't have the room to fit everything in on these shelves. Also on this shelf, you may or may not see down here, I have an Otaku RGB SCART switch. It is a mechanical switch, so I do have to physically pick which input and output, or sorry, it only has one output, but which input I am using. I have labelled them, so I have tried to make it easier, but it is a mechanical switch and I just have to pick which one that I want to use. You'll see further over there, I have a Dreamcast kiosk, a store display kiosk. Isn't quite complete yet. I picked that up for free actually on Gumtree. It was all rusted out and it was quite in horrible condition. So I had it resprayed, pulled it all apart, cleaned it up, and now I'm in the process of putting it all back together, getting some new vinyls, etc. made for it. So hopefully in good time then I'll be able to do a video on that particular store kiosk and show you the end result. So behind me here we've got the retro PC, let's call it, collection. Got the old Commodore 1080S monitor plugged into the Amiga 500. I do have a Commodore 64, you can see there on the shelf just above the screen, so I just chop and change. I'll swap out the Amiga with the Commodore 64 as needed. Above that you see there I've got some big box games. I've also got some loose discs, some joysticks, and there's some more loose discs down here. So I enjoy playing the Amiga. I didn't have an Amiga growing up, but I certainly had a Commodore 64. But I really enjoy the Amiga. Then I've got the Windows 98 machine over there. I've got a lot of big box games over there as well, such as your Dooms, Panzer Generals, I did have a SimCity over there, you know, just games that I grew up with throughout the 90s, particularly late 90s when I was starting to get into PC stuff. So just a bit of detail on how I hook everything up. The Amiga is actually hooked up to the back of the 1084S via RGB. The good thing about the 1084S monitor, it has digital and analog RGB signals, so essentially CGA and analog RGB. The Windows 98 machine is just hooked up to your standard sort of CRT, I would suppose you call it, but the cool thing about this particular CRT, when I picked it up, it was brand new. That was only a couple, maybe 6 months ago, and it came with a cool set of JBL clip-on speakers to the side of it. So it's kind of two birds with one stone, and the fact it was brand new, I knew I wasn't going to have any issues, hopefully, with it breaking down or or not working on me. So that's it for the retro PC section. Hopefully that gives you a good idea what I've got on display and what I use regularly. One of the things I did with this room was I added in some LEDs for those 3 garage lights you can see, and also some LEDs behind the main TV and CRT, as well as the cases, the bookcases for the video games. So here I'm just going to demonstrate via Google how easy it is to change all the colours of the lights. Hey Google, turn all garage lights and all game lights to the colour blue. Hey Google, turn all game lights to the colour red. Hey Google, turn all garage lights to the colour green. Hey Google, change all garage lights and all game lights to the colour white. Hey Google, switch off all garage lights and all game lights. So that's it guys, thanks for sticking out till the end, I much appreciate it. If you do want to see more videos, hit subscribe. I will be making videos such as CRT modding, pickup videos, going through the highest dollar value items I've got in my collection. I might even do a video of the stuff I've still got up in Newcastle waiting to come down to Sydney. So by all means subscribe, I will be making some more videos over the next weeks or months, and I hope you enjoy the channel. Thanks.